All right, welcome everyone. Let's get started. So we're gonna, as usual, start with our 5-minute warm-up, and then we'll go from there. So let me get out a timer. All right, 5 minutes on the clock. We're just gonna doodle, sketch, get some stuff out so that we're warmed up for our actual drawing.
Will you approve that link?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Caleb. I just wanted to remind you guys to ask any questions that you have. Let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I'd also love to know what you guys are going to be drawing today. So make sure to put that in the chat. Ashley Robinson illustration says Princess Tiana.
Cool.
Sophia says skull anatomy.
Nice. What kind of skull? Human skull?
Yes, human skull.
Sweet. All right, time's up.
Well, we've got a interesting question. Anyone else have a problem on Instagram where all you get is Russian mail order brides liking on your art? Been posting for about a year, starting to lose hope at gaining real followers.
I don't have that problem, at least not that I know of. I would say then maybe take a break from posting and spend some time working on just improving your skills. If you feel like you've been posting consistently and not getting followers, you maybe need to work on getting better at your art. That's what I would do. Oops, here we go. All right, so this is what I'm going to be drawing today. I'm going to start drawing some people. And this is one. I'm pretty nervous. Don't make fun of me. I'm not the best at human anatomy, but we will see. All right. You'll see me. I'm going to probably end up doing a lot more blocking out than I normally do. It's like I mentioned in another video. The more confident I am, the more I can sort of block it out in my head, but the less confident I am, the harder time I have. And so I'll be a little bit more detailed in my blocking out step.
So what's your thought process here as you're building this person?
I'm trying to get the angle and proportions of the rib cage and the pelvic mass correctly. Because if I can get that in the right spot, it'll be a lot easier to get the rest of it in place. I'm also going to try and make the pose a little bit more dynamic than what's here to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'll have this leg come out more and be straighter. We'll come back to that leg in a minute.
Christian says, what is the best way to start getting into drawing and painting?
Start drawing and painting. I mean, get a piece of paper and a pencil and just start. That's seriously, I mean, it's kind of hard to know where to start until you actually start drawing, and then you'll start realizing, like, okay, I struggle with this, or I could use help with this. If you're really just starting from completely nothing, I would recommend checking out Proco's courses or YouTube videos. They're free, and they have a lot of great information. So you could start there. That's what I would recommend. Oops.
Christian asks, okay, or says, okay, thanks. Do you do any non-traditional paintings?
Not really anymore. I used to, but it's been a while. Yeah, not really. But I mean, the fundamentals are going to apply either way, whether you're doing digital or traditional. So just jump in and start. Maybe I kind of like that pose better. It has a better flow. He looks more sturdy the other way. We're gonna actually keep it pretty similar. We'll still have a little bit of gesture, but
Samantha Pixley asks, what are we doing today? Still reference photos? The answer is yes. Reference photos.
man.
And then Ashley Robinson Illustrations is asking, have you ever tried Manga Art Studio software for sketching?
I think I have a long time ago. But yeah, I think I have tried it at least once. All right, I don't know if the skeleton underdrawing is working for me, but we're gonna try it. I might just end up freehand drawing it from the reference instead of starting with this, but I don't know. We'll see how far we get.
What would you say are some of the most difficult things for you to draw?
People and landscapes. I can draw them, they just take a lot more like focus and effort than drawing other things that I'm better at. Oh, I can't draw them out of my head as well.
So I'm curious to hear your answer on this, Austin. What do you feel like is the benefit of doing these studies and things, like if, say, somebody does a lot of studies of human anatomy or animal anatomy or whatever it is, why not just use a reference each time and draw from a picture each time? Why try so hard to get a mental library developed?
A couple reasons. One is that a lot of times you're not going to have a reference photo of exactly what it is you want to draw in the right pose or the right lighting or whatever, and you might not be able to create it yourself. Like, especially if you're doing like creatures or animals, like the chances that you're going to be able to get an animal to pose exactly how you're wanting it or find a picture from the exact right angle or whatever is low. And so what you'll need to end up doing is supplementing that reference with understanding and knowledge of how whatever it is you're doing works and actually looks like. And if you don't have that, one, it's going to be really hard to do anything other than a drawing that looks basically exactly like your reference. And two, you the other problem is that, like, you want to be able to draw out of your head certain elements because it will give it sort of a unique and fresh feel to it versus only drawing from reference all the time. Like, when I use reference, I try not to just copy exactly what I see, and I'm able to do that because I have a pretty decent visual library built up. And so I can kind of pull on that and supplement that with the reference I'm using versus just basically having no choice but to copy exactly what I see, because I don't know how to draw it outside of the reference that I'm using.
That's awesome.
So that would be my answer to that.
Cool. Christian is asking, I'm not starting completely from a start in terms of drawing. Do you have any tips for correcting the habit of drawing too dark when starting a drawing?
Just don't. Here's the thing. I think that a lot of times we want like secret answers for stuff, and the real answer is really uninspiring, which is just stop or just start. Like, half the time I think that's the answer is like just stop doing it. Like, if you set that standard for yourself, like if you give yourself the mental excuse of like, I have a bad habit, I can't break it, I need a secret trick to help me stop, then your brain is going to be like, okay, well, until I get that secret trick, I'm just going to keep doing this. But if you just tell yourself like, nope, you don't get to do that anymore, just stop drawing dark, you can't draw dark, your brain will be like, oh, okay, I guess I won't anymore. Like, you have a lot more power of your brain than I think most people realize. And just not allowing yourself to do that, just don't just don't do it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not really a secret trick. Just stop. It's going to take some time to get out of the habit, but just keep using that mental energy to be like, nope, not doing that. That would be, I guess, my advice on that.
I definitely agree with Austin. And I mean, one thing you can try to do if you're really, really struggling is just use a a pencil that's like an H6 pencil or something that's ultra light, then no matter how hard you draw, it's going to be light. But honestly, I would recommend even more than that, what Austin said, and just really try to focus on forcing yourself to draw light, and just tell yourself that you're not going to draw dark right off the bat. Christian says, okay, thanks. Hilarious answer, by the way.
You're welcome.
Comical Food says, ooh, is this an Aztec reference? One of my stories is based off the Aztec civilization. Working on architecture designs for it now.
Yep, it is Aztec.
I lived in Mexico for 2 years, and it was really cool to see Aztec ruins and a bunch of cultural influences of the Aztec civilization still alive. You know, even lots of words and names of cities and things from the Aztec civilization. It's pretty cool. What helps you move past artist block?
So this is something we've talked about before, but I'll go over it again. I don't believe in artist block. I think that kind of just what we talked about, like if you give your brain that excuse, then it's going to take it. Our brain is looking, and it's a survival thing. I mean, it's natural, but our brain is looking to exert as little energy as possible to keep us alive. That's that's basically its main goal, is what's the least amount of resources and energy I can expend and still not be dead. And so doing things like making art and stuff like that require a lot of mental energy. And if our brain can figure out a way to not have to do that, it's going to most of the time, unless we can kind of learn to harness that and, you know, take conscious control of it. And so artist block, I think, is one of those excuses. Like, yeah, we all go through times where it's hard to come up with ideas, but just well, actually, I don't buy that. I don't think it's hard to come up with ideas at all. I think it can be hard to come up with ideas that we feel like we would enjoy drawing or that we think are really good or original, but like tough shit, like you just got to start. And I mean, if you want to be a professional artist, like artist block does not fly. If you were in any other type of profession and like an accountant or a construction worker, and you're just like, sorry, I got accountant's block today, like I just can't get it done, they'd be like, okay, well then you're fired, right? Like you don't really have that option. And sometimes when you work on stuff, it just doesn't feel like it's coming out very good, but you just got to keep working and pushing through that until you can get to the good stuff. It's like the analogy I've made before, where sometimes making art is kind of like a faucet where you turn it on and the water just like runs brown, and it's kind of like the water's all gross, you know, and you have a couple options. You can just turn it off and then wait for the water to run and hope that if you turn it on a little bit, the water will run clear, which if you do that, it almost guaranteed won't. When you turn it back on, it's just still going to be brown. The only way to get the water to run clear is to let the brown water run until there's only clear water left. And that, when you're doing your art, for example, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you just got to let the crappy art come out until all you got left is the good art, and you get back to the good stuff again. And it's not that fun, and it takes a long time, but that's just what you got to do. You can't just turn off the faucet and be like, well, I'll turn it back on again tomorrow and hopefully the water will be clear. It doesn't really work like that. So don't give yourself the excuse of artist block. Just buckle down and be like, you know what? I'm going to draw until the good ideas start coming out, until the drawings start looking good, until I'm satisfied with what I'm producing. So that's my answer.
Awesome. Do you have a recommended screen protector that works best with Procreate?
And I don't use screen protectors. I had one. I didn't really like it. I just got used to drawing on the glass. I don't think I don't mind it. I don't have an issue with that. So yeah, I don't use any. And to add to that artist block thing, I'd be willing to bet that almost all professional artists who are successful in the industry don't ever deal with artist block. And it's not because they're magic or have some like anything special. It's because they just don't allow themselves that excuse. That you might ask, like, I'm sure they have days where they're like, oh, like I just am having a hard time making stuff that I like whenever I draw. But I bet that none of them would ever just not draw for a day or be like, I just have artist block. I can't get anything right. I'm not not my fault. Can't do anything about it. It's just artist block. Uh, I'd be willing to bet almost none of them would say anything even close to that.
$10.30.
Okay.
Now, did you get this reference from Pinterest?
Yep.
I remember you saying a while ago that you get most of your references from Pinterest.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to remind people that that's a great resource for reference photos. And you can Google photos, but I tend to find better stuff on Pinterest as well.
Yeah, because like the reason for that is because Google's just using an algorithm based off of what you type in. They're just like, here's a bunch of stuff that fits what you're talking about. And Pinterest, their search engine, the stuff on Pinterest is curated by people who are who are looking, like if you type in Aztec warrior, you're going to find stuff that other people have basically scoured the internet looking for Aztec warrior things, and have pinned it on there. And so it's curated more so that you're going to be getting the type of stuff you're looking for more often, more likely. I think that searching for reference photos is kind of an art, honestly, of itself. Like knowing what keywords to look for and how to search for stuff. Yeah, it can be tricky, but I think Pinterest helps. And I mean, the other cool thing about Pinterest is if you find someone who you're just like, you pin everything that I look for all the time, you can just follow that person, and and you don't have to. I mean, you can just see their stuff show up on your feed, which is kind of nice, I think.
Samantha Pixley is saying, I have this problem where I really love my unfinished sketches, but when I go to complete them, I really dislike how they turn out. How can I fix that?
Practice, practice, practice. I mean, you don't always have to complete a sketch. If you really like the sketch, you can just leave it like that. But that's something that a lot of artists deal with, which is um, keeping things loose when you get into the sketch stage. Like, it looks really nice and like has a lot of energy when you sketched it, but then when you go to paint it, it just feels like really stiff and stuff. And yeah, that's something that even like professional artists, I think, struggle with. One way would be to just keep the sketch layer really apparent, and not do a bunch of paint. Like, just you basically do some color washes and fill it in with some color, and keep the sketch as like the what carries it. You could do that if you really like your drawing. Um, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's something that everyone deals with. I think it's just part of it a little bit is that the more you start to add detail and refine it, the less flow and energy it's going to have a lot of times, because of the nature of what a sketch is versus the nature of what a painting is. But so, yeah.
Comical Foods says, I found some of the best unique photos, or I'm sorry, I find some of the best unique photos on Instagram, but the search function is not great. So I just gather over time.
Cool. Yeah, if Instagram works for you, go with it. I think you should. I mean, I can give you my advice, but I think you should always do what works for you. I mean, someone might give you advice and you try it and it just is not working out. It's way better to just, I mean, it's kind of like a fine line. You should listen to people who have gone before you, and take their advice. But yeah, at the same time, you want to find what works for you and not just go with what works for someone else, because it might not be the same.
Comical Foods adds ArtStation is great too. And Samantha says, listen to advice, but don't necessarily live by it.
Yeah, I mean, just do what you feel like is working for you. And that doesn't what's working for you doesn't mean what's easy or what's convenient either. I don't mean like, oh, this is hard, so it's not working for me. I mean, uh, do what produces results. Because sometimes you might get advice that is really hard and really uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to it. You're probably going to have to do hard things to get from where you are now to where you want to be. but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's so what other people say is going to work for you every time. Freaking faces, man. This head looks horrible, I feel like. We're going to redraw it. The rest of the body's coming along all right, at least as far as I can tell. I might have been looking at this for too long, and everyone else like, that looks weird. How much time we have?
Got about 20 minutes.
Oh, that looks a little better. All right, you guys got any other questions?
All right. If you are trying to sell your art, do you know if you still need to be concerned about copyrights when posting sketches, paintings from a reference photo online?
Like, you mean?
I'm guessing if you do a piece of original artwork, but you've used a reference photo, do you have and you want to sell your artwork, but you've used somebody else's photo, do you have to deal with copyrights?
It it depends. Like, for example, this sketch, for example, if I just did an exact copy of this sketch or I painted this and it looked pretty much just like the reference, then the answer would be yes. If you're using it as reference but you're transforming it, it has to be transformative. If whatever you're doing is transformative, then you do not have to do that. As in, no one would be able to look at it and be like, that is this picture. Then you're good. There's a copyright law is so messy. There's so many different things that go into it. Like, it has to be transformative. If it's not in a competing market, a lot of times you'll be fine. As far as legal stuff goes, like there was a ruling where this rap company wanted to, or this rap group wanted to use the tune of a old song from the 50s in their rap as like a melody. So they contacted the record studio who owned the rights to it and asked them if they could. And they said no. And so they used it anyways. And the record studio took them to court for copyright infringement. And they actually lost because the work was not competing with the record studio in their market, because it was, one was a completely different genre of music and the other one was rap, and they ruled that they weren't losing out on any revenue or anything like that because of this copyright use. So I don't know, there's a bunch of things that go into it, so it's kind of hard to say, but if you're transforming it enough, you shouldn't need to worry about that. You shouldn't be selling it if you're just copying a reference photo. If you're going to be doing that, you should just be taking your own reference photos. So
and I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. They said if you are not trying to sell your art, you still have to be concerned about that.
I don't. I mean, if anyone's like, "Hey, I know the reference for to use that from," I'd be like, "Okay, cool." Like, I don't know. I'm sure.
Can anybody get away with fining you for using their photo as a reference? I mean, if you're not selling it, I don't
No,
think they really
no,
have any
they can't.
say in that. Like, create what you want to create.
Yeah.
I do know of some great sites like Pixabay and pxhere.com. I'll write those in the or in the chat, but those are just like stock photo sites. You can find some really cool landscapes and some cool animal pictures and stuff. But all of the pictures on both of those sites are completely free for personal and commercial use. So you can use them in presentations or in on your website or for whatever you wanted. Um, but as far as using them as a reference, you can do that and be as close to the photograph as you want, um, and not have to worry about the copyrights or anything like that. The photographers that post on that site, they allow everyone to use it for whatever they want. So I think that's really cool, especially if you're looking for textures or you're looking for um, just different things to kind of Photoshop into your artwork, um, or to overlay or any kind of backgrounds, things like that. It works. It works great.
All right, moment of truth here. Let's flip this and see if it's a disaster. Not too bad. Maybe a few things we could fix. The legs seem a little on the short side. Trying to do this. Let's see.
Oh, Samantha Pixley is asking what inspired you to draw an Aztec warrior? Because now you have me drawing an Aztec dancer.
I can't tell you. Just kidding. I'll tell you. I started working. Actually, you guys kind of inspired me after talking to you guys about what projects I'm working on. I was like, I have all these cool ideas I want to do. I haven't really been working on any of them at all, hardly. So I started working on my board game and doing some art for it and stuff. And yeah, so I decided to start doing some reference of some tribal guys, Aztec guys, stuff that sort of the aesthetic I want for some of the like clans or tribes in the game that you can play. So yeah, that's what got me doing this. And I knew I was going to have to be doing a lot of people for it, and I'm not very good at people. So I was like, well, I better get on it. So here I am.
Samantha adds, well, thank you, because you inspired me and I haven't been this pleased with a piece of art in a while.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I feel pretty good about mine too, because I don't know, I just don't draw a lot of people. I'm always like nervous, and so I kind of avoid it sometimes, I think. And so just making myself do and diving in feels good when it turns out not a disaster.
Got about 10 minutes, just so you know. And Comical Foods says, what kind of board game?
You know, still working on that part. Probably it's gonna have miniatures, probably area control genre, resource management sort of thing. Each player gets a clan or tribe that they play as that has it's gonna have like dinosaurs in it and stuff, so they have like their own starting guys, you know. And then throughout the game, I'm thinking you'll be able to tame more dinosaurs to like recruit and helping you either harvest or fight or tame more, whatever it is you want to make your objective to win. And the win conditions will be victory point based, I think. And then there's going to be kind of like avatars of the gods that I'm not sure how you'll be able to gain access to them, but if you like sacrifice enough to the altars or whatever mechanic I decide to go with, you'll be able to get their mini and use it to help you, and they'll be like cool, big. I don't know. I'll show you some of real quick. I'll just show you what I've been working on. This is my rough sketch for the avatar of War, and he'll probably be pretty big, but I think I'm gonna keep working on it, rework it a bit. Cool. And then this is my rough sketch for the avatar of Plenty. But yeah, we'll see. Really cool. Still got some work to do, but
Scribble Sooth says, you had me at dinosaur.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good games out there with dinosaurs, especially not any with dinosaur miniatures. So figured I'm going to fill that niche. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a Kickstarter for it yet, or if I'm going to try and pitch it to a existing game studio and either sell them or have them like sell the idea, or I don't know exactly what yet, but I think it'd be cool if I could get CMON to make it, because they have some really great minis and whatnot, but we'll see.
Comical Food says, awesome. And K Moore says, I love this subject. The Jaguar spots add a lot of interest. Thank you. Comical Food is saying, I want to make a game so bad, but I have to finish my comic book first. I want to start off with a story and then jump into games.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Nemesis. I don't know if you played Nemesis at all. It just barely shipped from the Kickstarter, but it's pretty fun. It's like Aliens. It's basically Alien the movie as a board game without the actual licensing, but it's really fun. And it has a really heavy narrative element to it, and it also has a Kickstarter or a comic book that comes with it, which I thought was kind of cool.
Dharmesh Sharma is asking, can we see the live stream after you're finished?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, it's always posted on my channel.
That hair is awesome. Love it.
I mean, this guy right here would be an awesome miniature. If I was going to use this, I'd probably make it a little bit more fantastical and add a little bit more decorative armor and stuff. We're not going to make his horn as big so we can fit him on the page. Like a little elephant trunk right where his wiener goes. Nice.
I never saw that.
What time are we at? 2 minutes? Maybe we're not going to finish that loincloth then. We'll just call it right there.
Oh, Comical Foods adds the idea to even exaggerate the horn for the board game.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, is putting like some sort of carved like dinosaur head type thing.
Pretty cool.
Or whatnot on the end. All right, well, I don't think we're going to get to the spots.
Dharmesh Sharma is asking, I think the question is, do you like other like similar apps to Procreate, like Concept, Adobe Sketch, Sketchbook?
You like other apps in Procreate like Concept? Yeah, I've tried all of them. Procreate's my favorite by far. I don't really use anything else besides this, honestly.
Can you do the same work in those free apps as you can in Procreate?
Probably. I don't know. I would say yeah, probably could. I mean, Procreate's only like $6, so I mean that's like a cup of coffee. Or I mean, I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should starve yourself, but that's like one meal. You know, like if it was like, hey, if you just give up one meal, I'll give you this program that will help you with your art. I'd be like, okay, sure. I don't know. I mean, like go mow one lawn. That's $6 right there. Go donate plasma. That's like $40 or 50. I don't know how much. I don't know what the going rate for people's blood is these days, but yeah, we're gonna call it there. I need to work on feet, and hands, at least tiny hands. I could probably work on normal size hands too, but tiny hands are hard to draw. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. The angle of the head, I'm still not super crazy about. I feel like I just could not get it exactly right for some reason. I don't know if it's too big or what. But yeah, it might help a little bit. Anyways, that's where we end today. Turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
It was fun. I learned a lot. I feel like I got a pretty good idea of kind of the aesthetic of their I don't know, culture, their armor and stuff like that. At least added more to my library of what I can draw upon when I'm making my stuff now. So yeah, I think I might do some more of these this week and kind of keep in this theme. We'll see. So, all right. Any last questions in the chat?
Not at the moment.
All right. Well, then we will go ahead and call it a day. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It was a blast, and we're going to be here again tomorrow, same time, doing the same thing. Come draw with us, come improve. We're here every day, and be sure to post your work in the Facebook group, and use hashtag SketchGrind on Instagram. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, one last thing before I end it. Yes, there is a place where everyone posts their work together. It's called the SketchGrind Facebook group.
The link is in the top of the chat.
Yeah. So just look up the Daily SketchGrind Facebook or the link. Yeah, like Caleb said, the link is at the top of the chat. All right, now goodbye.